It's a real honor for me to be with you and to be back in this association. I was just remembering I've paid my dues sporadically over the years, but George, I got a check here. You fill it out and I'll sign it. I need to get back in this group, I got to tell you. I remember one of the meetings we had, I don't know, Philadelphia or somewhere, and we were after hours talking, and you learn things in these meetings. And one of the people said, well, if you're going to run for another office, run early. Well, I had just gotten elected Attorney General, and Howell Heflin had just announced he wasn't running again. So I thought about that. And then next few days later, I'm taking my walk back home in Alabama, and this guy jogs past me, and he says, hey, Jeff, run now while they still like you, which is kind of, it's a tough job you have, right? I mean, you know, you do your duty every day, and some people don't like it, and some people like it, and there's just no choice to do the right thing best you can and try to make the legal system work. We have the most remarkable, wonderful legal system the world has ever known. I truly believe that. And I had the opportunity to practice before federal judges a lot more than I did state when I was Attorney General for only 2 years. And I just came to value it. And somehow, some way, we muddled through all the disagreements and disputes and the cases that we handle, and the system stands strong. I do believe strongly that words have meaning and laws should be enforced as they're written, and we should try to be consistent in application of law, and that equal justice under law is an absolute critical thing for this country, and we need to maintain that ideal. Having traveled around the world as part of the Armed Services Committee and seen us attempt to help other countries have legal systems, and those attempts not be very successful, it's just driven home to me how blessed we are to have this heritage of law that we've been able to build on. You know, there were jury trials in the colonies before the Revolution. John Adams defended British soldiers before the Revolution. So we inherited this and we built on it, and the most sophisticated commercial cases, the most simple and violent crimes can be tried pretty effectively, and we have to maintain that in my view. I think I'll just chat with you. I've got a nice speech here, but maybe we can just chat. I may lose my voice anyway before it's over. I've had a hard time. I became Assistant United States Attorney in 1975. And crime had been increasing for 2 decades. And it was just drugs were increasing dramatically. 50% of high school seniors had acknowledged they'd used an illegal drug that year, according to the University of Michigan authoritative study. And this was a bad trend. And the mentality was nothing much could be done about it. Prisons made people worse. Prosecutions and crime were not effective. That criminals were victims, and the victims were victims, and the police were victims, and everybody was a victim. There wasn't much we could do about it. And then we began to confront this situation because the people became so concerned about it. Burglar bars and burglar alarms on everybody's homes, never been done before. People never locked their doors before in the 50s. And so this was a big change. And we began to focus on how to improve law enforcement. It's something I've just kind of watched. I've had an interest in over the years. And it took some time, maybe 20 years, but the murder rate was half in America than what it had been. Drug use was down among kids. We had prevention programs in every community, and many of you and I spent a lot of my time working, trying to create a message of the danger of illegal drugs. And the crime does tend to follow drug use. If anybody's observed history, they know that's true. And so we made progress. And then we got better policing techniques. The New York still incredibly effective reversal of the crime rate in New York City. Community-based policing, broken windows, and all those new techniques that came along that put police in the streets out there doing the things that are necessary. But now we are at a time, it seems to me, and crime is going back up again. You know, overall crime rate increased last year 3.5%. One of the bigger increases since 1991. Murder rate was up 10.8% nationwide. And as you've seen in the papers, the Wall Street Journal had a big article about it. Certain major cities are seeing really dramatic increases in murder rates. Chicago, Baltimore, here in New Orleans. And so lots of this out there that's driving a sense that we're in danger. I say that we need to return to the ideas that got us here, the ideas that reduce crime and stay on it. Maybe we even got a bit overconfident when we've seen the crime rate decline so steadily for so long. And many of you have worked on this for years. You've been a part of the movement that's made our cities, counties, and communities safer. And we've saved how many thousands of lives have not been lost? How many thousands of people have not been injured? How many people have not seen their financial situation damaged severely by crime? So we've done a lot of good. We need to not give up on that progress. That is the thing that has concerned me the most. I do not believe, maybe I'm wrong, but I do not believe that this pop in crime, this increase in crime, is necessarily an aberration, a one-time blip. I'm afraid it represents the beginning of a trend. And I think what really concerns me in the bottom of all that is also the increase in drugs in America. So they tend to follow one another. That's what happened in the 60s and 70s, and I think it could happen now. So I think we all have a charge to do better. President Trump issued an order. He doesn't issue modest orders. He said to the Attorney General, he said, the policy of this executive branch is to reduce crime in America. Well, that's a pretty good goal for us. I like that. I'm willing to try to meet that challenge of what we can do. And one of the big things out there that's, I think, causing trouble, and where you see the greatest increase in violence and murders in cities, is somehow, some way, we've undermined the respect for our police and made oftentimes their job more difficult. And it's not been well received by them, and we're not seeing the kind of effective community-based, street-based policing that we found to be so effective in reducing crime, I think. And so the Department of Justice has an absolute duty to ensure that police operate within the law, and if they violate the law, they've committed a crime just as much as any other citizen who commits an assault. And we'll do our duty. I've done that as United States Attorney to prosecute police officers who do wrong. But we need, so far as we can, in my view, help police departments get better, not diminish their effectiveness. And I'm afraid we've done some of that. So we're going to try to pull back on this. And I don't think it's wrong or mean or insensitive to civil rights or human rights. I think it's out of a concern to make the lives of people, in particular the poor communities, minority communities, live a safer, happier life so that they're able to have their children outside and go to school in safety, and they can go to the grocery store in safety and not be accosted by drug dealers and get caught in crossfires or have their children seduced into some gang. So we can do better about this, and that is part of what my thoughts are about this whole situation. The drug thing is big. The president has also given me a direct order to take charge and lead an effort against drug cartels, international drug cartels, and they are growing in strength. And we got so much of it coming right across the Texas border and all across the Mexican border, and we can do better there. We can do better attacking the distribution networks, and we have to start generally, from my experience as a federal prosecutor, with state and local cases where someone catches a person, it turns out they identify them as a major part of an organization, and then the federal government, DEA, and other agencies have the ability to issue interstate subpoenas and follow up on leads that the local sheriff or police chief can't do, and then we work together to achieve progress. I am fully aware that 85% of law enforcement in America is state and local. We're not going to fight crime effectively just from Washington, D.C. That is obvious to anybody who can see that the sun is shining. So this is a big deal for us to work together. We have had tremendous partnerships over the years. It started, actually, when I became United States Attorney in 1981, Rudy Giuliani was the associate who had supervision over U.S. attorneys in those days, Associate Attorney General in Washington, and he created the law enforcement coordinating committees, which I'm sure all of you are familiar with, and directed United States attorneys to listen to the local law enforcement community as to what they thought the threats were in their neighborhoods. And La Cosa Nostra wasn't such a big deal in Mobile, Alabama. I don't know about you, but it wasn't that way in Alabama. And so I thought it was an effective plan, and I would like to see that kind of policy enhanced and move forward and restore that. I believe there's nothing wrong legally, morally, or intellectually with a lawful system of immigration that serves the national interest. What's wrong with that? Why shouldn't we aspire to that good goal? And the president has made clear his view on it, and it's been mine for some time. And we're going to make progress about that. And in particular, people who come here unlawfully, who commit crimes, are going to be out of here. The law says they have to be deported, and we're going to insist that that happens. In some of these countries that are refusing to take them back, we have the ability and the power and the legal requirement to confront them and take action against them if they don't take them back. We're housing a lot of people who committed serious crimes, who entered the country unlawfully, who are long since due to be deported. We're holding them because these countries won't take them back. And there's just a lot of things that we can do in that regard. Maybe, George, that we could, I'd love to have any questions that you might have, or really any suggestions you might have as to how this Department of Justice can better serve you and do the things that are necessary. Now, I'll wrap up and just say this. At this point in history, I sense that we could be at a pivotal time. I sense that if we take the right actions now, affirm good, effective, proven law enforcement techniques, we can avoid another long-term surge in crime rates in America. If we don't take that action now, I'm afraid we are going to begin to see those kind of trends continue, maybe even accelerate, and to have a lot of destruction, pain, prison, death in our country that could have been avoided. I value you. I appreciate the leadership you provide to this country and your states. I know that I've been away from it for 20 years, although I've been on the Judiciary Committee for 20 years. And I feel like I've lost some contact with what's really happening out there on the streets today. And if you will work with me, I would be pleased to work with you. I believe we can do some good work for this great republic. Thank you all. God bless.